Hello there, my name is Hideout and welcome to the Pantheon, where today we're having a look at another Golgari commander from Modern Horizons 2. They should rename it Golgari Masters. It's Carth, the Lion. 4 mana for a 3/5 human warrior. When it enters the battlefield or a Planeswalker you control dies, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal a Planeswalker card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on your bottom of your library in a random order. And Planeswalker's loyalty abilities, you activate, cost an additional up 1 loyalty to activate. So essentially it negates one of the minuses or gives an additional plus to a loyalty ability, which is really quite cool. We've not really seen anything like this before. And it's weird it's on a green-black card. I didn't really expect sort of the Planeswalker matters to be on a Golgari card, but here we are, and what a card it is. It's really quite cool. We're not going to be getting in for much commander damage, but we're going to play a lot of Planeswalkers. And I'm a Planeswalker myself, so why don't you subscribe to carry on Planeswalking with me. I'm going to be making a video like this for every single legendary creature in Magic. It's going to take me a while, but we'll get there in the end. Without further ado, let's get into Carth. And in at number 5, we've got Garruk, Cursed Huntsman, and all of these are Planeswalkers which we can emblem as soon as they come in. Why do we want to emblem? Well, it kills them, which is a bit weird. But if we've got our commander on the field and we ultimate them straight away, we're going to get to dig 7 deep to get another Planeswalker, and maybe we can rebuy them later. Garruk, 6 mana for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker. Can 0, create 2/2 black and green wolf creature tokens with, when this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garruk you control. So it's a Garruk tribal commander. Then -3, destroy target creature, draw a card. So that would be -2 with our commander on the field. And the 0 would be a +1. And then the -6, which is now a -5, and conveniently 5 loyalty is where we start. You get an emblem with creatures you control get +3/+3 and have trample. So we're permanent overrun on all of our creatures, all of our tokens that we made, absolutely everything. Even our commander's a 6/8. Ooh, savage. But here's a couple of other Planeswalkers we can ultimate straight away. Nissa of Shadowed Boughs is a 4 mana, 4 loyalty Planeswalker who has landfall on her. So if we're playing this and want to ultimate straight away, we don't want to play a land straight away. But, you know, if you just want to keep her around, you can do. She gets a loyalty counter whenever a land enters. +1, which is +2 with our commander. Untap target land you control. You may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste and menace until end of turn. It's still a land. So a nice bit of ramp. And then the -5, which is where we're all out. So -4 with our commander on the field. You may put a creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand or graveyard with 2 1/1 counters on it. And then with our commander's ability, we get to dig through the entire deck. Then another different Nissa, but you know, a similar sort of landfall based card. 5 mana for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker, +1, untap target land you control. Till the next turn, it becomes a 5/5 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land. Then -3, so -2. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. That's going to be excellent because we're going to have a lot of Planeswalkers hitting the graveyard, and of course, Planeswalkers are permanent. And then -6, or -5 with the commander. You get an emblem with, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. That's absolutely wonderful. We want to hit a land drop every single turn, and we're going to draw some cards from it. Then we're back to Garruk. Garruk Wildspeaker, 4 mana, 3 loyalty Planeswalker. +1 or +2 with the commander. Untap 2 target lands, -1, so 0. You get a 3/3 green beast creature token. And -4, so -3, so we can do it straight away. Creature control, get +3/+3 and gain trample until end turn. It's overruns for days, and being able to dig 7 deep for another Planeswalker is just lovely. Then we've got another couple of Planeswalkers. These you can't ultimate straight away, but they're just cool includes in the sort of very casual deck that you want to play. Vraska the Unseen, 5 mana for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker, +1. Until your next turn, whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska, destroy that creature. -3, destroy target non-land permanent. And -7, create 3 1/1 black assassin creature tokens with, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. And we're going to be, while we can't ultimate this straight away, we're going to +2 up to 7 and then -6. So Vraska stays on the field and we get those tokens the turn after she comes in. Then we've got Liliana Vess, 5 mana for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. +2, target player discards a card. -1, search your library for a card and shuffle that your library, put that card on top. Excellent tutor ability, and just for -1 loyalty with our commander is wonderful. And then -8, put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. So that's really achievable, and it's absolutely game winning if you manage to get it off. Then here's a cool little one that your opponents will hate. Davriel, Rogue Shadow Mage, 3 mana for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, Davriel deals 2 damage to them. And then -1, which becomes 0, target player discards a card. So if you keep this around, every turn you can 0 it to keep the loyalty on there and just make your opponents discard cards. Which brings me on to number 4. And while, we want to ultimate them straight away, maybe we want to take advantage of our planeswalkers and, just get them up to a lot of loyalty, which is where doubling season comes in. 5 mana for an enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many tokens. A lot of planeswalkers create tokens, so this is an excellent ability. And if an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many of those counters on the permanent instead. So this works when planeswalkers enter the battlefield, so they enter with double the amount of loyalty. However, an activated ability of a planeswalker, so the loyalty abilities, it does not double them because the cost is you removing or adding the counters. So this doesn't affect costs. So not quite as cool as you might have thought, but it works exceptionally well. Then Vorinclex Monstrous Raider, 6 mana for a 6/6 with Trample and Haste, Phyrexian Praetor. Oh, cool. If you would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, put twice that many of each of those kind of counters on that permanent or player instead. Nice little stand-in, and you can even get in for some damage with Trample and Haste. If an opponent would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, put half that many on each of those counters on that permanent or player instead. So it absolutely hoses our opponents and just creates a ton of value for us. Then Evolution Sage, to go along with the sort of Landthal theme that you could go for. 3 mana for a 3/2 Elf Druid. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Proliferate. Now, Proliferate allows you to choose any number of permanents and players, put an extra counter of whatever type you want on them. So that includes loyalty counters. And then the big man himself, Yawgmoth Thran Physician. 4 mana for a 2/4 with protection from humans. You can pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, and we've got a ton of tokens knocking around, so that's pretty useful. Put a -1 counter on up to 1 other target creature and draw a card. Then pay 2, discard a card, Proliferate. So the fact that you can do this over and over again, even if you can't ultimate, some of your planeswalkers straight away, you can proliferate them before you activate them and then ultimate them the turn they come in, which is pretty solid. Here's a couple of other cards that go well with that. Khan's Bastion. It's a land, so having a land that does any sort of thing is wonderful. And you can pay 4 mana and tap it to proliferate. Then, with all this proliferating, Nissa, who shakes the world, is a fantastic include in the deck. 5 mana for a 5 ability planeswalker. Her static is, whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional green. So we're going to be playing green. We want to search up a lot of forests. This just doubles our mana and allows us to get to those big planeswalkers like Ugin and, Garrick, Cursed Huntsman? No? The 7 mana one, I can't remember his name. +1, put 3 1/1 counters on a 1 target non-creature land you control. Untap it. It becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with vigilance and haste. That's still a land. So the fact that we can proliferate those counters on the land to get in for some massive damage. And then -8, you get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible. Search your library for any number of forest cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. So for ultimating Nissa, we really want to keep her on the field to double all of that green mana that we're going to have. And then Played Wide Celebration is a big 7 mana spell. It's a sorcery where you choose 4. You can choose the same mode more than once. So you either create a 2/2 citizen creature token with its all colours, you return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, so return all of your planeswalkers back to your hand. Proliferate 4 times. Generally, we're going to be able to do some nice little ultimating after that. And then gain 4 life. That's the main use for this spell. Which brings me on to number 3. And in at number 3, we've got Blood on the Snow. Now, this is a sort of part of a cycle that was in Kaldheim, and I really like this card. 6 mana for a snow sorcery. Choose one. Destroy all creatures or destroy all planeswalkers. We're generally going to pick the creatures, I think. I was going to say planeswalkers then. Don't choose that option. But then return a creature or planeswalker card with convert mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of snow mana spent to cast this spell. Well, playing snow mana is pretty low risk because all of your basics are snow mana. So you may as well include snow mana and we can make use of it with a couple of cards, that being the best one. But reanimating all of our planeswalkers is also a key theme of the deck, so here's another couple of ways to do that. Command the Dreadhorde, 6 mana for a sorcery. Choose any number of target creatures and or planeswalker cards in graveyards. Command the Dreadhorde deals damage equal to the total converted mana cost to those cards, then put onto the battlefield under your control. So we can reanimate our entire army. Say we've ultimated a couple of our planeswalkers. Well, we can get them all back and then just have a big old planeswalker party. Then we got Revival Experiment. 6 mana for a sorcery. For each permanent type, so not just planeswalkers, this is creatures, lands, other. Return up to 1 card of that type from your graveyard to the battlefield. You lose 3 life for each card returned this way. And then exile that card. The artwork is absolutely phenomenal. Look how dynamic it looks. It's just so striking. I absolutely love it. And this can really rebuy your way back into the game. Then we've got Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, 5 mana for a legendary sorcery, which means you can only cast it if you have a creature or planeswalker that's a legendary permanent on the field. Then put up to 1 target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Exile Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. Absolutely great, can blow out your opponents and get your biggest threat back onto the field. Then, talking about some snow sort of permanents, we can have our ramp package be sort of snow based with Sculptor of Winter. 2 mana for an elf rogue, tap to untap target snow land. And it's a 2/2, so it can block and protect one of our planeswalkers, which is nice to have. And also it's a snow permanent for the snow spells. Then we've got Arkham's Astrolabe, the Tyrant of Modern and Pauper and Legacy. 1 snow mana for a snow artifact. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. And you can pay 1, tap it, add 1 mana of any colour. So it's a bit of fixing. Draws you a card, gets you through the deck. And it's snow. Then Scrying Sheets. It's a snow land and it taps for a colourless or a generic, I think it is. You can pay a generic and a snow. Look at the top card of your library. If that card is snow, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So this is a nice bit of card advantage that we can have just from our lands. Works absolutely fantastic. It's exactly what you want to see. Which brings me on to number 2. And in at number 2, it's Honor Worn Shaku. 3 mana for an artifact. And it taps for a generic mana. But wait, there's more. We can tap an untap legendary permanent you control to untap Honor Worn Shaku. So all of our planeswalkers are legendary. So why don't we rebuy with some extra mana by tapping our planeswalkers? We don't tap our planeswalkers nearly enough, and this is a great way that we can do it. So all of these cards are based around sort of the legendary subtype, and they're really cool. You can build a really nice deck out of these. 2 green and X gets us Kamal's Druidic Vow. It's a legendary sorcery, which means you can only cast it if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of land and or legendary permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest into your graveyard. So this works fantastically, gets us all of the legendary things onto the field, but it can also dump a bunch of stuff into our graveyard that we can maybe reanimate later. Absolutely fantastic, really helps with digging through the deck, and just works fantastically in the deck. The Chain Veil is a 4 mana legendary artifact that says at the beginning of your end step, if you didn't activate a loyalty ability of a planeswalker this turn, you lose 2 life. We shouldn't have that big of an issue with that. We've got a fair few planeswalkers to play with. But the main reason we're playing this, pay 4, tap it. For each planeswalker you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn, as though none of its loyalty abilities have been activated this turn. Double bubble. We get to do our planeswalkers twice. Absolutely fantastic. Quite an expensive card. I don't want to even think how much a foil is, to be honest with you. But works exceptionally well with the deck, and we really want to get as much value from our planeswalkers as we can. Then Mox Amber, 0 mana for a legendary artifact. Tap, add 1 mana of any colour among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. So while our commander is 4 mana, this is a cool little mana rack that you could put in. Not really going to accelerate you all that early, but it fits with the theme. Then the Elder spell. Double black for a sorcery. Destroy any number of target planeswalkers. Choose a planeswalker you control. Put 2 loyalty counters on it for each planeswalker destroyed this way. So if you really want to ultimate a certain planeswalker, you got a couple of idiots sitting around that have done a couple of things. Or maybe your opponents have a couple of douchebags over there. We can blow all of them up and then ultimate one of our planeswalkers straight away. Then Oath of Nissa. 1 green for a legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature, land, or planeswalker card from among them. Put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of the library in any order. Then you may spend mana as though a mana of any colour to cast planeswalker spells. So this is exactly what we want. It digs through the deck. It's 1 green mana. You're always probably going to hit a land. Or you're always going to hit something. So this is I'd compare this to cycling, the best mechanic ever printed in Magic. And we can dig through our deck. It gets everything done. It's got a great picture of Nissa on it. What more could you actually ask for? And then we got Reki, the History of Kamigawa. 3 mana for a 1/2. Whenever you play a legendary spell, draw a card. Well, majority of our deck is legendary spells with all of our planeswalkers, legendary sorceries. We're going to draw a ton of cards from Reki and, he's got a cool musical instrument. I like it. I like it a lot. Which brings me on to my number 1 pick. And this is all about sacrificing, getting use out of that when a planeswalker dies, because yes, there's loyalty abilities and creatures can attack them, but I want to take control of them and sacrifice them for myself, which is where Tavesh Sat, Doom of Fools, comes in. 5 mana for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. +2, create 2 0/1 black Thrull creature tokens. What more can you say? Excellent. Thrulls are the best tribe in Magic. Brilliant. Anyway, that's good. To be fair, I'm joking. But it is good because it helps protect our planeswalkers. Nice blockers, can jump in the way of any threats. Good stuff. Then +1, which is actually a +2 with our commander out. You may sacrifice another creature or planeswalker. If you do, draw 2 cards. Then draw another card if the sacrifice permanent was a commander. So we can sacrifice our commander for, 3 cards, which is pretty damn good. But the main sort of use I'm seeing is sacrificing a planeswalker to dig deep for all of those planeswalkers that might be in the top 7. And we're going to draw 2 cards out of that, which is pretty damn good. Then -10, gain control of all commanders. Put all commanders from the command zone onto the battlefield under your control. And this can be your commander and has a partner, but that means nothing right now. But gaining control of all commanders, that's pretty damn cool. And it's permanent as well. So unless they get killed or bounce back to your opponent's hands, you're going to have them swinging in with all of their Sign of the Ur-Dragon and stuff like that. And you get, if they're in the command zone, you get any enter the battlefield effects as well, which is pretty damn awesome. Then we've got Vraska Golgari Queen. 4 mana for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. +2, you may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, you gain 1 life and draw a card. So again, we can use this on other planeswalkers to sacrifice them. We draw a card, gain a life, and then we dig 7 deep into our library. Then -3, Abrupt Decay. So destroy target non-land permanent and we convert mana cost 3 or less. It can be countered, or stifled at least anyway. -9, you get an emblem with whenever a creature control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. Very nice, very Vraska. I love it. Then Kaya's Ghost Form, 1 black for an enchantment aura. Enchant a creature or planeswalker you control. When enchanted permanent dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. This is wonderful to put on our commander or one of our key planeswalkers, as when it dies, it's going to come back, trigger our commander, we're going to dig deep, and then we're going to get another use out of our commander. So if we sacrifice the permanent that we put this on, we can then use it straight away again. Pretty damn good. And finally, Helm of the Host is great with our commander, or at least any commander with an Enter the Battlefield effect. And the pluses on our Planeswalker's abilities with our commander, the +1 to a loyalty ability, that does stack if we have multiple copies of him. 4 mana for a legendary artifact equipment, equip cost of 5. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of an equipped creature, except that token isn't legendary. If equipped creature is legendary, that token gains haste. So we're going to get double the triggers in absolutely everything and get tons and tons of value. And those are my top 5 cards for this brand new Golgari commander. There's Too many Golgari commanders. I can't control myself. They're just fantastic. And this is a really unique sort of design. We had the insect Planeswalker, which didn't really... I wouldn't build it as a sort of a Super Friends deck. This is a Super Friends deck. And then we had the squirrel. That's a token doubling forest walking machine. It's really quite cool, and I like the direction that Golgari's going in. If you like this video, please do subscribe, comment, and like. It'll make me really happy, and I'll go, and smile lots and lots and lots. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.